Let us know when we're
Yeah,
live.
we are. Yeah, you can start talking and introducing everyone.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, Aquarians. It is Cameron and Mache here with special guests from America, Alpha Kappa Psi, members of Alpha Kappa Psi, the professional business fraternity here. So today is a special AMA, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I know we're having today this AMA on a Saturday. I know most of you are out having fun, spending time with family. Usually we do on Sundays, but just because we're dealing with multiple time zones here, we compromised on Saturday. So the goal of today's AMA is basically to familiarize yourselves with American university culture, specifically the role of Greek life and the role of what fraternities as organizations serve in the campus community, and how working with organizations like Alpha Kappa Psi can actually help Aquari create a strong foothold to be able to execute our go-to-market strategy and expanding our movement onto American soil. So yes, guys, I think since it's Saturday, we'll make this a quick AMA, but please, we will start off with introductions. Alpha Kappa Psi and their associates will introduce themselves to you as people, tell you about the organization, and we can open up for questions at the end. So looking forward to seeing you all and your questions. So let's start off with Vicky. Let's start off with introductions. Vicky, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Vicky or Victoria. I'm the current liaison for our Aquari AMA beach cleanup that's going to be happening next Saturday in the morning around like 9 to 1 p.m. A little bit about me. I'm currently an engineer at an aerospace company. A little about Aquari. I helped facilitate the beach cleanup or the community cleanup in Belgium, I think approximately like 2 years ago now. In conjunction with AK Psi, I was in the same pledge class as Cameron. We're called the Epsilon class. I think we started in 2019. 2019. Yeah, 2019. And then Cameron and I just started pledging together. We made it through, and then now we're currently alumni for Alpha Kappa Psi, so we were very excited to kind of start this whole collaboration with them. So yeah, let me intro you guys to our team over there. We have Alex, Chelsea, Gabby, and Jacob. So Alex, go ahead and take it off.
Yeah, so like Cameron and Vicky said, we're from Alpha Kappa Psi, and we're a professional business fraternity. A little bit more about myself is I'm Alex. I'm a second year majoring in finance and accounting. And I pledged and I rushed Alpha Kappa Psi my first year spring semester, so that would be a year back. And outside of just academics, I like to play hockey and I like to play video games. So yeah, I'll pass it on to Gabby now.
Hello, my name is Gabby. I'm a fourth year at Cal Poly Pomona. I'm part of the Lambda class, and I've been part of Alpha Kappa Psi since spring 2022. I'm currently the president, and I'm majoring in finance, real estate, and law. And I'll pass it off to Jacob to introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Jacob Crizo. I'm currently a junior. I pledged last semester under the Pi Pledge class. Some hobbies of mine are going to the gym, reading about financial markets, and just watching a lot of movies and cinema. And now I'll be passing it on to Chelsea.
Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea. I'm a second year computer information systems student, and I also pledged in the Pi class with Jacob Crizo. A few things I like to do are baking, video games, and painting. So I'll be going over the table of contents. First, we'll be going over what exactly is Alpha Kappa Psi. Then I'll be going over what we stand for, and finally, what we do and our activities. A little bit about Alpha Kappa Psi's history. We're the oldest and largest professional business fraternity, and we were established at New York University in 1904 by the Brooklyn Four, so 4 business students. Their goal was to create a professional organization for business students to develop their leadership and career skills. Now, today, Alpha Kappa Psi has over 200 chapters worldwide and over 260,000 members. Its alumni network spans across industries from finance to tech to entrepreneurship. You'll find Alpha Kappa Psi's alumni have held positions ranging from Fortune 500 executives to former US presidents. Our core values include brotherhood, integrity, knowledge, service, and unity. And our vision statement is developing its members into principled business leaders.
Okay, so now what do we do? So we help students on campus and those who are pledging in the classes to build those professional skills that you'd need in everyday life when you join the workforce. We also help build a sense of community on campus for people who are striving to develop themselves professionally or simply learn new skills that they wouldn't be able to gain in the classroom. So kind of building off of that, we also aid students' growth and success. And this can look like having mentorship opportunities. We have leadership opportunities and a wide variety of other skill sets that we help them develop over their time in Alpha Kappa Psi. So as it says at the bottom, members support each other during and after university. It is not only for fun, it is to help build a network that lasts a lifetime as we have today. So now Jacob will talk about our activities.
Poly Insights is a student-led consulting team at Cal Poly Pomona and a division of our business fraternity, Alpha Kappa Psi. Comprised of 19 different majors, we specialize in consulting across diverse fields, including data analytics, management, strategy, marketing, technology, engineering, and other areas. Being from a learning to do school, we thought that if we could create a group where students could get real hand experience using critical thinking skills and apply that professionalism to help students grow, then once they graduate, then they would be able to have all these knowledge and set skills that they can apply to their jobs and get internships and build up their resume and their portfolio. And here's where we ended up working some of our former alumni who worked in Poly Insights and also from the fraternity. And if you would like to get in contact with us, here's our Instagram page. Just scan the QR code and it will send you to our page. Thank you very much for listening to us, and I hope you guys have some great questions to ask. We're really interested.
You can send me the QR code after the stream and the link. I'm gonna post that in the channel if you want.
Okay, so thank you guys so much for your quick introduction and presentation. And before, how do I say, but just to start getting everyone's brains going, I'll ask you guys a few questions before we open it up to the community and whatnot. So how do you say, let's start off with question one, which would be, for example, what is pledging? Because, a lot of people wouldn't understand the terminology that you're using, like rush, pledging. Explain that what that whole process looks like and what's the purpose of the Russian pledge system.
So I can take that question. So pledging and the rush process, first and foremost, the rush process, which is a sort of way that we promote ourselves on campus, where we have a dedicated week where we introduce ourselves. For example, we have welcome night where we talk about Alpha Kappa Psi just as we have right now. We have alumni night where individuals on campus get to speak with our alumni network, identify the skills that they've developed through being in Alpha Kappa Psi, and their journeys, and just how they can help give back to this community that provided them with these skills. The next would be professional development night, which, like we mentioned, we try to give an environment where they can develop these skills, have hands-on experience. And so it's just a week where we're all getting to know each other, get a look into what the community is like, and build from there and see if their continued interest will be something we can look forward to. And then after that process is done, we move on to the pledging process, which is where we have those who were able to go through the week and have their interview, begin their process of this education and mentorship, where they're given tasks such as case studies that they get experience in and just develop themselves professionally, while also simultaneously learning about the history of the chapter, Alpha Kappa Psi itself, and the history of what our chapter specifically, Chi Epsilon, has done, and their impact that we've had on campus. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but if there's
That
anything.
answers. That answers. So, one other thing that I think people will be wondering about is Alpha Kappa Psi only present on your university campus, which is Cal Poly Pomona, or is it present on other campuses? Is this like a national thing, or?
Yeah, like I think we mentioned there's around 200 plus organizations on different campuses that are Alpha Kappa Psi. I think it's worldwide. I don't
Yeah,
entirely know, but I'm
international.
pretty sure. Yeah, there you go. International. So it should be available on all campuses if there is someone who started up that organization. I think ours, Chi Epsilon, started around 2017. So it hasn't been too long since we've started up, but I know there's other chapters that have been here since early 2000s, even earlier than that. Ours is just one of the newer ones.
Okay, and then when it comes to fraternities and sororities, like what is the difference between Alpha Kappa Psi, a business fraternity, versus like a more traditional fraternity? If I was to like Google fraternity.
Alex, did you want to do that one?
Yeah, I'll take that question. Yeah, so many fraternities are like more social focused, where they have like an emphasis on just connecting with like everyone in like a social atmosphere. It's really like having fun. Alpha Kappa Psi is a more professional business fraternity where we have a more emphasis on just developing ourselves, just building up our skill sets for the real world. And so throughout our like rush and like our pledge process, that's where like we show that emphasis. We have our pledges go through like certain like events like case studies and all of that, so that they are able to kind of like help build their career like skill sets up through that. And not only is it through just the pledge process and the rush process where we help build up these skills, but it's also like a lifetime occurrence where we're always constantly like working to improve ourselves to get that internship and to just ultimately get like our dream job. And yeah.
Yeah, and could you guys talk about your internship experiences? Like, what was it like going from, campus life to entering the workforce as an intern?
So I currently have an internship right now. It's a search fund internship. And so what that basically is that I work for like a small organization where they pull their money together and they sort of look for businesses to kind of optimize and buy out and to run it for a profit. So that's what I'm doing. I'm more of the financial side of that. And it was a complete change because I have a remote internship, and that's like it's super cool for me because I can like work around my own like time and like kind of balance that with school as well. And yeah.
Would anyone else like to share their experience, internship wise?
Yeah, so going back to like the case studies, we try to make our case studies as like real as possible. And so what the current internship I'm in right now is a business consulting, and it happens to be for a restaurant. And our first case study was for a restaurant too. So everything I learned in the pledge process of trying to join Alpha Kappa Psi transferred over to Poly Insights and business consulting. And so the whole aspect of learning to do and doing to learn is really applicable into or really applicable for AK side, because we want everyone to have just that real life experience, and we don't want to set up our pledges for failure, and so we try to give them as much real life situations and business just like skills as possible. I've also was in another consulting internship year that was for a nonprofit, and it's a social entrepreneurship. And so what we would do is we were trying to build up the social entrepreneurship, the nonprofit, on its revenue side and profit. So as we're trying to scale the nonprofit, we also want to push the social narrative that they want and what the message is. And so it's essentially two birds with one stone. And so we would create strong business strategies that could push a social message and also make money for the nonprofit.
Just chiming in because Cameron's internet died. Like he suspected it might. So if any of you guys would like to share your internship experiences, you are free to. If not, we can. I feel like we can go on to Q&A. Okay, so does any of our community members watching the stream right now would like to ask any question? And I see that Cameron has rejoined. By the way, Vicky, you were getting a lot of cheers from several people you meet in Pepinister in Belgium. Just letting you know, because that happened like earlier when we were in like introduction phase. So, Annalus.
I was like, when's a good time? Hi, please. Hi, Dennis. Oh my gosh. So nice to hear from you guys. I miss you guys.
Yeah, it was such a long while ago. And we yeah, we have Annalus asking that it's so nice to see you all. Thank you guys for joining, and it's interesting to hear because yes, as she's European, and what she's curious about is how you got into Aquari and how do you see your future working with us or like our future cooperation.
Yeah, I can kind of maybe pin on that. So this is actually the first conversation that all of us are kind of in one room together. So it's kind of exciting for AKSI also to learn more about Aquari. Before this conversation, we kind of like gave a little intro to Aquari too. So now everyone's aware of what's going on. But mainly like me, like I'm the POC for Aquari, and then Alex is our POC for AKSI. Generally from I think how the timeline kind of looks like is, well, Cameron started it, and then I was like, oh, this is really interesting, and then this is where I am now, and I think it's exciting because AKSI, I think from what our team has said over here, I think AKSI has been a really good bridge in terms of like not only even me and Cameron being in the same class and starting that networking, but it's bridging that networking forward into the new generations. And so this is where this is what it's kind of looking like, and we are really excited to kind of like step forward into that because now we have the current generation of AKSI kind of getting excited more about environmental cleanups, but also finding a community that is devoted to some kind of environmental aspect like that. So this is our first round of an American cleanup, which is really exciting, and I think everyone's really excited to be on board here. So yeah, and hopefully from now on, like we can have a little more of a good connection to start even doing more cleanups after this. Gabby's our president; she's going to be graduating, and then the next role, we have our VP, vice president over here, our treasurer. So hopefully we can continue our relationship moving forward and hopefully expanding to even more Alpha Kappa size, but not just that. I think from speaking from an Aquari standpoint, Cameron and I are kind of discussing, how do we bridge this even farther beyond just like specific organizations? How can we move forward to different universities, different states? We just want to kind of start expanding the Aquari motive, and yeah, so we're excited about that.
Hey, hello. So thank you all for coming. So yeah, my internet is a bit weak today, so I'm just going to go with no video right now. But what I will say is essentially the formal announcement for today is that the first America cleanup is set for the 22nd of March Pacific time. Okay, that is the formal big announcement for today. We're coming to America, and we're going to start with that. So I will formally answer some questions. So a lot of Dutch, some members of the community already know because I've talked privately, but since this is the first AMA, I will come and answer all these questions. So the main question here is, how are we going to boost exposure? Okay, how does this process, how does this collaboration here allow more Americans to know, and what role does targeting, having university students come clean play a role in that? So look, the reason why Alpha Kappa Psi is a key strategic part of Aquari's go-to-market strategy is when you look at many tech startups that have occurred over the past 2 decades, when you look at Facebook, or if you look at Tinder, one thing that these companies worth multi-billions of dollars, the way they started, they had targeting American university students as their go-to-market strategy. Okay, I'll use Tinder as an example. I mean, just think about what that app is. It's a dating marketplace, et cetera, et cetera. In order to start, you need dense network connections. And what better way to do that than in a university? Okay? The thing here is most people, the thing that most of you need to understand is that university, the role that it plays in American society is different than it plays in European society. In Europe, university is guaranteed. It's socialized by the state, subsidized by the state. If you're a citizen, you have a right to an education. But in America, after your first 12 years of schooling, after high school, okay, you don't have that as a right. So the thing is university actually in America delineates socioeconomic class. You're not just looking at random students out of a random sample size of the population. You're looking at your future business leaders. You're looking at your future working professional managerial class of the society. Okay. And the thing is, the networks of people within university overlap with people currently existing in the professional class. So the role of Alpha Kappa Psi, for example, it's not just like, how do I say it? They kept saying, oh, it's business fraternity, it's a business fraternity. What does that mean? The goal of the organization is for people to socialize in school, form lasting bonds, and these lasting bonds create ways for students to be able to have advocates for them that work at top American companies, whether it be Amazon, SpaceX, PwC, etc., Google. Okay, it's the human element. So that way, when these students, once they graduate, instead of being a nobody, not knowing anything, instead they were in this fraternity, they're in Alpha Kappa Psi. There are people like me, there are people like Vicky that are already in the workforce that can actually see their resume and have that personal vouch for them and allow them to get an in with the hiring managers to be able to actually be seen. Okay, so that is the bridge. Is what we're doing here is we are mobilizing not just one school, we're mobilizing many different campuses throughout the country, having cleanups, spreading awareness, generating content, allowing campus students, the future leaders of American society, okay, to actually be able to know about what Aquari is, know what our values stand for, and for our brand to spread to those networks. And that is how you're going to get awareness and whatnot. In terms of the specifics, right now we're doing a cleanup and whatnot. And Alpha Kappa Psi will get to see how we do things. They'll see what our mission is of being able to clean the world for profit. They're going to be able to see that in action. And I will actually be able to educate them on our affiliate marketing program that's upcoming. That if, for example, they really like the cause, if they really want, if the cause resonates with them and they want to continue further, a segment of the Alpha Kappa Psi body will have the opportunity to basically table and canvas for Aquari in order to basically get a paid commission and whatnot. Various companies have campus ambassador positions, but again, those are all discussions that come later and after Alpha Kappa Psi gets to see exactly what Aquari is about, in terms of seeing our app in action on the field. So that is it. That is how we spread awareness. That is the purpose of today, and the purpose is collaboration. Okay, so we start with one school. We refine the model. And once that's perfected, we're able to actually knock on the door of other Alpha Kappa Psi chapters and repeat the same process in all 50 states. That is the go-to-market. So let's open up to question and answers. Marche, I can't see the questions right now, so if you could relay them to me, that would be perfect.
Yep, I'm gonna be reading them as they go. I think in the meantime, even before the previous question was answered, Ali asked whether Aquari has matured over the years with the idea of turning into reality. Hopefully, this partnership matures well in the US and establishes ourselves over there. Okay, can anyone join Alpha Kappa Psi, or is it invitation process only?
Yeah, so it is invitation only. So you, like I mentioned earlier, you go through a rush week where you're kind of learning more about Alpha Kappa Psi, if it has the same values as you, if it has the aspects that you're looking for outside of the school regiment. So they go through that week and then they go through an interview process. And then once they're selected through that interview process, they get to go through the pledge process, and then they're further selected through there.
And also kind of describe a little bit more on this fraternity process. It's like it's on top of all the students doing their current majors. So right, so we have a few in finance, a few in engineering. They're not only doing their respective full-time classes. This is a organization where you're volunteering to do it. And it's kind of a 24/7 process because the pledges and the actives, as the actives being the people that are currently in organization, and the pledges being people that are trying to join the organization, are constantly having coffee chats. So they're networking, getting to know each other, getting to understand like what's the background. On top of that, they have constant like general meetings, they have pledge meetings, they have events that are going on. So that's a little bit of an overview of what the dedication to joining a fraternity kind of looks like, which is why there's a little bit of an invitation process, because it's like this is going to be a bit of like a whole, I think it's like 4-ish months commitment in terms of the pledges making. And then once you're in, you're kind of like a full-time active person, continually helping the next generation, continually developing yourself at the same time. So that's a little bit of an overview on that.
Let's wait a little for the oh yeah, I see the with how many people are you doing the first cleanup? Are more cleanups going to follow?
You can go ahead and answer the how many people you guys will plan to bring out, and I'll just answer in terms of more to follow. Right now, we're going to see how this works out, and the president and I will talk and see if we will continue further.
Yeah, so I sent out an announcement to our group chat with active body, and our active body is around 55 to 60 people, but I think around 20 to 25 of them will show up. So that's the estimated headcount for AK Psi, and yeah.
Beautiful. March, do you have any other questions?
Not right now, but they usually take few seconds to flow in. If we don't have any more questions after in like, I don't know, 30 more seconds, I think we are good to wrap up. To not take anyone's time on Saturday.
Okay.
Oh man, those notifications
case,
on your end are really booming. You can continue. You can continue.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, my phone overheated.
Oh yeah, I saw
all
that.
good.
I saw that. That's no worries.
I see. Actually, you know what we can do? Like Alpha Kappa Psi, do you have any questions for like the aquatic community? Actually, that's something we can do real quick.
And also we also have two more questions flowing in about the scale of pollution at the cleanup site you guys are going to be targeting in California, and the scale of how big the pollution situation is in USA in general.
Yeah, I can kind of tag in on that. So currently we have our space set up at this beach called, oh my gosh, sorry, at Bosa Cheek State Beach. It's in Orange County. So currently Cal Poly Pomona is about I think 30-ish mile range from this beach. Pomona is a little bit more inland. That's where the university is. So we have it currently set up for this beach. And there's a beach that's also in alignment called Huntington Beach, which is right next to it, which is also, I would say, one of the options that we have in terms of setting up a beach cleanup. A little bit of background on the dynamic of how not America, I'll say from my experience of what setting up this looks like is very interesting in terms of if we're setting up a beach.
You know what to do, actually? I'm so sorry, Vicky. What we should do, go ahead, keep talking, but everyone else, when Vicky's done, I want you all to, because you know, one person's opinion can be biased. I want all of you guys to talk about your experience with pollution in the United States. And the reason I want this is because in the Netherlands, if you've ever been, it is clean. I mean, Vicky can speak about this. It is clean, you know. So all of our audience right now, you know, they're living in a country where it's like this problem's been solved, you know. And then so obviously, if it's been solved for them, they look at America, and it's like, I mean, you would think with the GDP, it should be solved too, you know. So I would love for you to all just give your own personal anecdotes about growing up in the country, and you know, what areas are clean, what is not clean, is it even clean? Like just tell them about your lived experience. So yeah, go ahead. So sorry about that.
That's okay. So I guess I was giving a dynamic or a perspective on the dynamics of setting up even the cleanup in at least where we are right now, like Southern California. To do a beach cleanup, you actually have to submit a permit to the government to ask to do a beach cleanup. And on top of that, you actually have to pay a fee in order to do a beach cleanup. There's a bit of a regulation, you know, wall that we have to kind of work through, which is kind of interesting because it's like, well, why are we paying and why are we getting like, you know, permission to ask to clean up? And I you know, maybe they have their own reasons that I just don't understand, but at the same time it's kind of a little bit interesting to recognize that you have to ask for permission to do this. But we are excited and we're still planning to do it at the beach. I would say, going on Cameron's question, you know, what's my experience with pollution in America? I think America has a lot of cleaning up that needs to happen. Unfortunately, I would say one of the more polluted areas I would say are in the city, because we do have a lot of homeless people kind of, you know, going in and out, and unfortunately that also creates a little bit of an unsafe place for a lot of people. And on top of that, the reason why we can't really do that for this cleanup, because we were just hoping to, you know, clean up as much as we can, is because we want to make sure that it's safe for everybody, considering it's an organization to organization collaboration. But yeah, I would say personally, you know, like in the city, it's pretty polluted. The beaches, I would say, are polluted, but it, like, from face value, you would never kind of think that because pretty covered up, I would say. And that's a whole nother conversation we can kind of go into. But yeah, so I don't know, Ikisai, feel free to kind of share your perspective.
Yeah, so I'm from Bakersfield, California, and it's in middle California. So I'm actually not from SoCal. I moved down here to go to school last year, but I'm from in Bakersfield. It's like the richest area in agriculture in the world. So we like produce the world's almonds, carrots, oranges, but we're also one of the biggest suppliers of oil and fracking. And so just kind of like going back to the pollution, it's been uh now pollution's been kind of getting better in Kern County, but just rather sometimes it's a poorer area, so you have like more like what Victoria was hinting at, whereas like in the city, it's kind of more polluted, but in Bakersfield, it's a lot of the air because we are a valley. So a lot of the dust and the oil, air, and everything, and the fertilizer all just kind of sits in the valley. And so that's kind of like some of the air pollution that California's been targeting at has been trying to go more green because it does affect people in the Central Valley lungs, and so we actually have a thing. I don't know if it's everywhere in the world, but it's called valley fever, and that's kind of just where like the dust sits in your lungs, and it basically gives you just kind of taints the inside of your body and your lungs. But so that's kind of what we dealt with pollution and kind of pushing more of that like green narrative, especially where I'm from. And and I would also like to add in 1960s, AK Psy's alumni, Richard Nixon, he actually did a Clean Air Act in LA that helped clean up the air. So there is there is multiple people in AK Psy, just like Cameron, that are environmentally like conscious and want to push a clean narrative.
I think I'll share my perspective. I personally live in Los Angeles, like I think around 15 minutes away from downtown LA. And like Victoria mentioned, it's very, very polluted. There's trash everywhere. There's a wide population of homeless people. I think if you go around the corner, you'll see it like a good group of homeless people, even when you're like getting on the highways. There's a setup that they have. There's a bunch of trash, and they're just living on the streets with trash everywhere. There's just a lot of contamination. And even on the beaches in California, at least from what I've seen when I go to the Santa Monica Pier, for example, there's a lot of trash in the sand. There's a lot of bottles, a lot of things that could be potentially dangerous as well. I think I personally, when I did beach cleanups in high school, um, there was a lot of like glass, which I think a lot of people could get hurt from. There's glass, there's cans, there's things. Like sometimes they like the animals have like plastic wrap around their necks, and it's really unfortunate to see. Um, I myself, I live in LA. There's just a lot of pollution. It's probably like the most polluted in my experience, at least when I'm in Pomona near campus. I don't think I've seen as much. So downtown LA is definitely a different story. So I definitely think this mission and group overall is just very important, especially to one that should have the money to help clean up the streets.
Yeah, so last semester, I actually had the chance to do a little bit more research on environmental pollution in the United States. And one of the topics that I came across was oil spills in the United States. Specifically, one of the oil spills that happened in Alaska, the Exxon Valdez oil spill, which happened in 1989. And that was one of the largest oil spills in US history. However, like there are a lot of oil spills, and this spilled around 11 million gallons of oil into the reef. And even to this day, there's still like residual oil in the reef, which does like severely damage the livestock and environment around that area, which was once quite pristine. So a lot of Exxon Valdez is a US company which has gotten away with a lot of controversy from these issues, which I think that there's a lot more to be done in this field, especially since oil does like impact the environment in many ways for many years to come. So.
Yeah, and my experience with pollution, I like to think that I share the same mindset as everyone here, where I feel like it's definitely more polluted in the cities. I come from a background of Boy Scouts. As a kid, I was in the Boy Scouts. I was a life scout, and so I did a lot of outdoor activities, and most of these activities would also like come hand in hand with like cleanup events too. And so I would be out in like hiking trails, beaches, cleaning those up, and those were pretty polluted, but they were like nothing compared to like LA and like San Francisco. All those major cities are like super polluted, and like the air quality there is like pretty bad too. So yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of want to wrap up this conversation in terms of like what exactly Alex said. We are a little bit restricted on the safety of where we are going to host. You know, we don't want our, you know, the age group of AK Psi, I would say, is around like 18 to maybe mid 20s. And so it's not only a liability that we want to make sure, you know, everyone's kind of safe here, but also just trying to figure out where can we clean up that's within distance, because they're about driving 2 hours to get to us too. So I would say right now we're based off of the Huntington Beach, Bolsa Chica area. And hopefully we can get in there without, you know, there's, like I said, like there is a permit that we have to kind of go through in order to even do this cleanup. So hopefully they can't, you know, they can't come after us for trying to help the community, we hope. So we do have a lot of red tape kind of getting into this, but we are excited to take it on.
Excited. Thank you so much, Vicky. Thank you so much, everyone, for giving your personal experiences. So some final questions came in. I will answer them and wrap that up. And when Jacob was talking, he was talking about Richard Nixon. Again, we're Americans. We think the world revolves around us. So for those of you that don't know, Richard Nixon, did you mention Richard Nixon, right, Jacob, or did you mention someone else?
Yeah, Nixon.
Yes. So for those of you that don't know, Richard Nixon is a former president of the United States. Sorry, that's like just like obvious. Yeah. So yeah, I'll get to the questions next. So Anna Lou says, what does it depend on whether or not we'll do a second cleanup? So the main decision factor is just AK Psi and a lot of campus organizations need to fundraise and whatnot. So it would just be a matter of executing the cleanup, seeing if Aquari can get the proper content, the proper, mobilization in terms of being able to actually get enough turnout to where we can actually make a difference. And if that's the case, and if AK Psi is able to fundraise, then they're in theory, there should be no reason why we couldn't have a second cleanup. But again, a lot of these discussions are evolving. You know, you don't want to just run into things. So we'll do the first cleanup. We'll see how things go, and the president and I will talk, and we'll move forward from there. The next question by Terrence. How do they communicate between the different campuses, and how could they promote Aquari to expand our reach? So I think this could be a two-part question, actually. Gabby, could you give an overview of like how nationals with AK Psi works, and like how each, like the organizational structure of the fraternity? And then I will go and explain like how Aquari will communicate with all of them.
Yeah, so we are just one of the several chapters that there are. So the bigger organization is Alpha Kappa Psi itself, and they're based in Indianapolis. And they're like, we consider them nationals because they're the main organization, and it's nationally known, and something that we can do. I personally have had conversations with the president of the organization itself, and he's very open. He's very open to having these conversations of having new initiatives happening. And then I think ourselves, because we're in Southern California, we do try to keep connections with other campuses like UC Riverside, UC Irvine, CSU Long Beach. So there's a lot of collaboration and links that we have with other universities as well. Let me see, what else was the question?
No, you answered your part. The next half was from me. So yeah, Gabby was saying she talked to so there's the president of each chapter. A chapter is a branch on each campus. And in nationals, there's a central organization that's not run by university students, but it's run by adults, people that were in Alpha Kappa Psi when they were younger, but are like, age 40, 50, 60. Because what you got to understand is this in America, it's not just a fraternity, it's for life. This fraternity is over 100 years old. So when you're in it, you're getting mentorship and you're getting knowledge. People are involved up till they're age 90. When I was in Alpha Kappa Psi, every year there's a national convention where all of the chapters meet, because we have to vote on stuff and whatnot. And yes, when you go, I got to meet people from famous schools. I got to meet people from Harvard, Alpha Kappa Psi, Harvard, MIT, everyone from like UC's, University of California's universities. And you think of an American university. I met Alpha Kappa Psi chapter people from those schools. So it's not only just the current students, but you got people that were in Alpha Kappa Psi in 1955. And when you meet an adult that was in, they're happy to pass knowledge on to you. You're like family, if that makes sense. So what you got to see is you got to think of it as more of like a society of people that are intertwined and help each other out. Okay, so that is the case. And then in terms of how does communication happen, so there is the national organization. So when Gabby was talking about the president, he's a man in his 50s, and I believe the previous president of Alpha Kappa Psi that I was in, it was a man named Mike Dickerson, and right now he's at the White House with like intelligence agencies and whatnot. So he's full intelligence agency working in the war room. That's his main job. But on the side, his way of giving back is working with Alpha Kappa Psi students and helping us develop. So just to give you an idea of how the relationships form. So there is a national organization that coordinates everything. So in terms of Aquari coordinating, what we would do is we would roll out tests, see if we can get everything working out with this chapter, the one that I was from, Cal Poly Pomona. And if everything works, then what I would do is I would work with Gabby to push that up to national level, then talk to nationals, and nationals would help me get in contact with all the other chapters. And even if nationals doesn't help, I can still outreach individually, but going with nationals would just help, get all the contact information easier. And it's not like I have to, how do I say, it's not like I'm just approaching strangers at this point. If another fraternity president sees me, it's like we're family. So they will hear out, we'll talk, and we can have an actual conversation. So in terms of communicating between different campuses, it's just a matter of saying, hi, this is Aquari, what we're doing. I'm Cameron. I give my background and talk to them, and they will either be open or not open. And for the most part, they'll be open because all chapters need to fundraise and whatnot. And your question was, how could they promote Aquari to expand our reach? And the specifics of this, I would love to talk about later, but there are many ways. So, for example, as I told you, we're rolling out our affiliates program. So right now, we're just doing a cleanup and whatnot. But for people that really care about Aquari and they like what we're doing, there's an opportunity for them to basically be campus ambassadors and spread the word of Aquari in exchange for a commission. It would just be a sales position, pretty much. And in terms of the actual strategy of that would have to be discussed later. But as you know, you take things one step at a time. And first off, the role of this is to get Aquari on American soil, get a dense network of people that already know each other, following Aquari, going to cleanups. And in terms of actually getting work done, okay, this is just phase one, which is mobilize students. But in order to do the real work, like what we're doing in Pakistan now, there are existing cleanup organizations throughout the country that are small, where they do cleanups. They've already been doing cleanups on the regular, and they would love financial support. And what we can do is say, hey, we are Aquari, we have financial backing because you explain how our model is for profit. We're able to actually, we have capital to work with. We actually have a following of students. Hey, organization, we can provide you with capital and manpower to execute said cleanup. Work with us, work with Aquari, and we can actually increase our effectiveness together. So that's actually, it would just be a repeat of what we did in Pakistan, pretty much, but in America. Okay, but in order to do that, first we need to have Aquarians in America. And to get Aquarians, you need to educate the youth about what Aquari is, and Alpha Kappa Psi can help us do that right in the home where, you know, our target audience is. And then your last question, do they have experience with this kind of project? So just like Aquari is not an organization that's just giving money to other organizations to do work. We believe you need to be capital efficient. So as an organization, we are doing the whole vertical integration of tackling problems. So obviously you can't, how do you say, Chelsea was talking about oil. Obviously, you're not going to start with like oil pollution and whatnot, but the whole goal is to start at the bottom of the chain. First, it's plastic, beach cleanups, level up a little bit. You know, you can get your equipment going out, partner with actual professionals that can handle more hazardous types of waste, etc., and scale up from there. So similar to Pakistan, at first it was just a few cleanups here and there. Now we have bulldozers, excavators going out, hiring environmental engineers to actually be able to properly handle that type of waste. So in terms of the experience, it's not like we're coming in and saying, hey, we already have the experience. What you're also investing in is mobilizing an army of people, dedicated environmental warriors to actually solve the problem. And we're going to execute, coordinate all of the people, all of the expertise, and build that expertise in-house to be able to solve the problem. Aquari is an organization that's going to solve the problem itself, and we are investing in ourselves to basically build that expertise in-house. So yes, again, you're very early stage, but I believe we can get there. We're there in Pakistan. We can definitely get there in my country that I grew up in. So yes, I think that answers all the questions. I've told Alpha Kappa Psi that it should only take about an hour. I think we're a bit over that. So I think we will end today's call, guys. Thank you so much for coming out. And yes, we'll see you on March 22nd, the first cleanup. Okay?
Thank you, Cam, and thanks AKSI for coming. And we're excited to work next weekend.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
so much
you.
for having us.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you guys, and see you all guys around.